Yesterday, I passed my MEI check ride, and it's taken just over a year to get here. It's been a lot of work trying to be a pilot, and it's taken all of my energy, almost 7 days a week. Most of the week I'm studying at school, creating content. My entire life has been around aviation. It's been really amazing. There's been a lot of ups and downs, and in this video, I'm going to talk about everything that's been really great and some things that have been kind of not so great, and just lessons I've learned along the way as becoming a multi-engine instructor. If you're new here, my name is Joseph. I help student pilots become private pilots. I have one more check ride and then I'm finished with ATP. But I've been creating content for the past 6 months now. Just started posting randomly because I wanted to better my knowledge. I felt as I was approaching or at the end of commercial, I thought if I could speak out loud and teach people, then, that's where my knowledge would solidify. As I was coming up on CFI, you have to talk out loud a lot. The entire CFI training is basically just learning how to teach. And you're gonna realize if you're going through your training, you're gonna get to CFI and you're gonna be like, I know this information, like, why can't I say it out loud? That's why I started posting. And people just started resonating with it, and I'm very thankful. Now have 13 or 14,000 followers across platforms. But when it comes down to it, I'm still a new pilot. I've been doing this for like a year and a half. Yes, I am a multi-engine instructor. Yeah, I'm a CFI, but no matter what stage you're at in aviation, you are always learning. There's never a time where you're not learning something. This book right here, the Airplane Flying Handbook, I bet you could go up to any pilot, find a chapter in here and start quizzing them, and they're gonna forget. No matter how advanced, no one can memorize all this information. So if you are trying to just memorize the information, good luck. There's like 5 different books. That's gonna be a lot of work. Now what you should be doing, instead of memorizing the information, just try to correlate the different concepts between each other. You gotta love to find out the why behind all this stuff. If you're just trying to get through flight training just to get to the airlines and then make money, or you think it looks cool and then you just, you're not going to progress your knowledge as a pilot. You really have to be motivated. It's like one of the industries, and I didn't realize this until I got in it, but there is a ton of work. And in order to get to the airlines, to make the money, to travel, fly international, whatever you want to do, you have to work. And it's very expensive and it's very stressful. Don't tell the FAA. I mean, it's really fun. It's amazing. It's amazing. But no, aviation is great. It's a blast. I love flying. I love learning new things, but you have to fall in love with learning. Now I'm about to head to Dallas. We're gonna go hop in the car and continue this conversation. Another big mistake I see people make. So when I first started flight school, I knew absolutely nothing about aviation other than I knew what a plane looked like. I applied for flight school in 2023 and I didn't start until 2024. It was March of 2024. I think it was March 11th when I started. And I really wasn't sure what to expect. I go to ATP, so it's an accelerated program. They want you to be there 7 days a week, constantly studying, and you're kind of just thrown into it. Now at other schools it might be different, but for me, you're just kind of like put into this building with other people you don't know who are also studying to become pilots, where you can make friends. But it's really confusing at first because you don't know what to study. There's so much information. There are tons of textbooks, but all the information, you have these different certificates, you have to get ratings, you have your private, instrument, commercial, multi-engine. Commercial and private are basically interlocked with each other. They're in the same textbook. So it's like, what do you study? That was the biggest hurdle I had to get over when starting flight school, of not knowing what to study. And I found when I started studying with friends and really just not trying to study to pass the private test, I started studying to really become a better pilot. That's when it clicked, because there's always information out there. There's so much information. So one thing I see a lot of people do wrong is they're just studying to pass this private pilot check ride. And that's not what we should be doing. We should be studying to become safer pilots, which will then lead us to passing the test. Now there are rubrics or kind of like guidelines you should follow. You have the ACS, you know what's gonna be on the test. The Airman Certification Standard, you know what's gonna be on that check ride. So you can go back, you could do all your studying, go back, okay, did I hit this, did I hit this? But the ACS shouldn't be your main source of studying. You shouldn't be trying to figure out the answers or the questions asked on the test and just trying to answer it based off rote. You should be memorizing those questions. Studying with people helps a lot. And I actually created a Discord that has, I think we have over 300 people in there now, student pilots, who all study with each other. The link just doesn't seem to work. So message me on Instagram and I'll like personally invite you to that Discord. But studying with people is a game changer. Just stopped to get the ghost. Oh my gosh, I swear. Yesterday, if I looked tired in the beginning, I slept, after the check ride, I slept like 15 hours. It's 12:57 now. I woke up at like 11:50. I woke up 50 minutes ago, or an hour ago. And the thing about energy drinks, I show energy drinks on this video, or on these videos a ton on Instagram, TikTok. It's my favorite. You know, I love these things. But if you haven't started drinking them, I wouldn't recommend it. I would only recommend getting into Ghost if you're already into energy drinks, because it's one of those habits that I wish I never started. And once you do start, it's really hard to stop because it's a lot of caffeine, it's hard on the body, and you start to rely on this for energy. Good Lord, nothing like that first sip. That's very fizzy. There's the Cowboys Stadium. So if you don't have a study plan or a strategy in place, I created a 4-week study plan. It's gonna be the first link in the description, basically laying out all the topics that you need to cover with where to find those topics in FAA resources. It's helped a ton of people. First link in the description. But you need to have a plan. Like, you can't just go into it blindly. That's what I did for the first month when I was in private. It did not work out. I didn't know what to study, didn't have a ton of guidance, and got to the mock check ride, completely bombed it. The flight was fine, it was just the ground knowledge. Just had no idea. I didn't know what I didn't know. So don't be that person. Definitely get ahead, have a plan of action, talk to other people what to study, talk to your instructor if you're confused on what to study, seek out guidance. I didn't really step up or stand up for myself when I was in the private stage, and it showed towards the check ride, but I never let that happen again. Now the next thing is gonna be trust your CFI, and if you don't trust them, move on. The goal of having a CFI isn't to feed you all of the information. You are responsible for going out, learning on your own, because unless you're paying your CFI, $50, $75 an hour for 8 hours a day to teach you, that's one thing, that'll get really costly. Most times you'll have a couple grounds a week and your CFI will go over some things that might be confusing for you, or teaching an overall concept that's pretty big and in-depth, and such as VORs or airspace. Some of the concepts that are harder to go and learn on your own. But if you do not have a connection with your CFI, you guys don't get along, maybe you don't respect or trust them, it is going to be very hard for you to learn from them. And so this is where I'm an advocate for, it is your investment. You are spending a ton of money to go to school and become a pilot, so you need to stand up for yourself. And if you do not connect with your CFI, move on to the next one. Ask for someone else. It's totally fine. Not every person is going to connect with a specific CFI. Overall, I would say it's kind of the CFI's responsibility to tailor their teaching method to the student, but some people don't have the ability to tailor themselves to every individual person. But that's where you as a student needs to step up, because the CFI is going to do their job, but if you're not learning correctly, they have no idea because they can't read your mind. So if you're having a hard time understanding your CFI, maybe they don't get you, then request a new CFI, even if it's a little bit awkward. At the end of the day, it's your money and you're becoming the pilot. And the last thing I want to touch on is confidence. I'll never forget this phone call I had with my mentor who's in American Airlines. He's a captain for American Airlines. He's helped me through this entire process. If you don't know, I basically had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. I was like 23 at the time, driving Uber, didn't have a job, I was lost and really just unhappy in life. Picked up this guy and told him that I wanted to be a pilot. I picked him up from the airport, he had his pilot uniform on, told him that it's amazing, I've always wanted to be a pilot, and he gave me his phone number, didn't expect anything in return, helped me apply for ETP, and 2 weeks later I was enrolled and starting flight school. And we'll have phone calls where I'll update him on my progress and I'll ask him different things, different concepts, and he helps me out, and it's really amazing to have someone like that. And so that's part of the reason why I wanted to create content, to kind of pass that along. And aviation has changed my life so much that if I can provide that for the next person, then that's success in my book. But aside from that, he told me one day that aviation changed his life. It changed his confidence, the way he handled relationships, mental health, physical health, every aspect of his life. And I thought that was really cool, and I didn't quite understand. And from his perspective, he's a captain, so he's in charge of all of these different people's lives. And so you have a lot of responsibility, and you have to carry yourself in a very specific manner to do that. And it was one day when I was warming up the airplane, I was sitting there in the private stage, my instructor next to me, and I'm thinking, you know, PIC, pilot in command, what does that mean? Like, what does that really mean to me? And most of my training for the private stage, you know, it's you have the comfort of your instructor there, but what if they weren't there? One day, like when you become a private pilot, you're gonna be carrying your friends, your family, and yourself. Like, you are in charge. And it just clicked one day where I realized that I am pilot in command. I am in charge. Like, there's no second guessing myself. I fly this plane safe and I know what I need to do. And that level of responsibility kind of comes with a new level of confidence, which in one day, it seemed to just completely unlock this new level of confidence within me. And ever since then, I've kind of approached life different. I approach mental health different, working out, relationships, how I just drive a car. Like, there's a whole different level that I didn't even know existed, and I didn't even know I had inside of me. And aviation has just completely changed my life, and I'd love for it to change your life if that's your interest, or maybe you're in flight school. Just really put yourself in that pilot in command mentality. And with every single flight, treat it like your family's in the back. You're really going to double check those checklists, make sure fuel pumps are on, make sure that the engine instruments are good, making sure that you're stable in to come land. Everything completely changes. You're really going to pre-flight the aircraft. You're not going to skip over anything. This is where your life is going to change. You're going to treat every aspect of your life differently after that, or at least that's how it was for me. But if you haven't even started flight school, that's totally fine. This is just kind of learning lessons along the way. And so if you are interested in becoming a pilot, I put out a video maybe a couple weeks ago on how to become a pilot. I think I'll link it somewhere right here. But if you're not subscribed, definitely consider subscribing. I create a lot of content around becoming a pilot, what it's like, and I'm really trying to focus on the whole lifestyle, such as how to be healthy, how to be confident, because I'm learning it on my own. Like, I'm not perfect. I have days where I struggle as well with confidence, and this whole thing is a learning lesson. You know, the things that I say, the things I talk about on this, it's more of a reminder to myself to keep doing these things, and if someone can find value in that, then that would be really awesome. But anyways, I hope you guys have a good day. Just coming up on the Dallas skyline. It's looking really nice. It is such a beautiful freaking day.